Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. The only reason it's really a happy Monday ever is because the 19th hole is here with my friends and colleagues and other things to me that I can't say on air. Mr. Conor Coughlin at Cough DFS there on Twitter. Go check him out. He is a sage of the DFS over at In Between. Mr. Bo McBrayer, the king of the hot sauce, the newest feature writer for Fantasy Pros, a member of the In Between Media team family. We know him. We love him. We consume his hot sauce by the gallon. Bo, Connor, how are you guys tonight?
Doing good, man. And you're right. I do love Bo, but Bo's an acquired taste.
Yeah, I'm like Isla Scotch.
I think it's fair to say we're all an acquired taste. It's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah, but some of us go down a little easier than others.
Is that what she said?
Yes. And Nate is frozen. Oh, look at him go. Hey, this is the longest we've had him on the show in history.
I got a new laptop today, and it's being a little bit wonky all of a sudden. This is great news. All right, guys, so let's get into it. Tonight we have got the Players Championship, as Bo really wanted me to say, so I did it. I'm sorry if it hurts your ears. Blame it on Bo. And we're going to do a drink courtesy of Conor Coughlin tonight. We have got an Irish Nitro coffee, which sounds delicious and kind of dangerous, but delicious nonetheless.
Irish Nitro coffee is actually Conor Coughlin's wrestling stage name.
Yes, yes, I love it.
My luchador mask. Well, I'll get over there. You guys can talk and all that.
So I think we're kind of like tipping our cap here because we've got St. Patrick's Day coming up. So we've got an Irish drink, so to speak. I'm looking forward to finding it out because I know Connor you make good drinks, man. You've been making me drinks for a while.
Yeah, well, no, and my thought was, everybody's familiar with a regular Irish coffee. I was like, well, maybe if the weather cooperates this year, maybe it's nice, maybe it's a little mild. You can get up. And a little nitro goes down a little smoother than the hard, hot black stuff. So I figured we'd try this. So basically, it's a take on a nitro cold brew. So we're going to be using Teelings, which I've kind of reacquired a taste of lately. I hadn't had it in a long time, and I think we've talked about this a little bit. But there's a lot of really cool like subtle notes to this whiskey. It's got a lot of kind of dried tropical fruit type of flavors to it. It's not anything like Jameson. So like when people think of Irish whiskey, they automatically think Jameson. There's a million different Irish whiskeys out there. And to be honest, most of them are a lot better than Jameson. Nothing wrong with Jameson. But...
Well, yeah. And that's the thing is there's three categories of Irish whiskey that most people don't think about. Teeling is considered a malt Irish whiskey. And so it's got a lot of different notes to it. Like Connor said, Jameson's more of it's more of a mass produced distilled product. Kind of like it's about like saying Jose Cuervo is tequila. Yeah. I mean, at the very surface level, it's considered a tequila, but every other tequila tastes so much better in comparison. That's the same thing. Jameson is just mass produced Irish whiskey, and once you get into other Irish whiskeys, you start to determine that Jameson isn't that great. But I'm partial to Redbreast 12 because it's the pot stilled variety of Irish whiskey, and it comes out with all the cinnamon notes that I like. But the malt it's that hoppy little malt flavor you get, like Connor said, the botanical that's really rare for a whiskey. You don't get that in very many types of whiskey. But Teeling's decent. Like it's great for mixing, but I wouldn't mind having it neat either.
No, as a matter of fact, too, I've been drinking it neat recently, and I mean, like I said, for a relatively inexpensive single malt Irish whiskey, I mean, it's got enough complexity to it where you can really just sit around and kind of, I mean, like Nate likes to talk about, kind of chew your way through it, and you get a lot of different flavors every time you drink it. So anyways, that's the core of our drink is the Teeling. And then we added about 1.5 ounces, maybe a little heavier, on some Carolyn's salted caramel. which is delicious.
Yeah.
And again, an Irish cream that you don't have to spend $40 a bottle for like you would with Bailey's, and it's every bit as good.
Mhm.
And then we're doing about an ounce of any nitro cold brew you can find. Unfortunately, with all the canning problems and all that stuff around, Starbucks was kind of my only option, but anything will do. And then we're doing about an ounce and a half, 2 ounces of Guinness. And then we're going to put that in a shaker. You're going to dry shake that. No ice. You want to get everything incorporated. So give that a little shake vigorously. Is this better than last time, Bo?
Yeah, you didn't give it enough hip flare though this time. Like last time you stuck your butt out and you were shaking it while you were shaking the drink. The drink and you were properly mixed.
Then we're going to transfer that into a glass with some ice, and then we're going to shake it again.
This is more for the temperature. You're trying to bring the temperature down with this second shake, am I right?
Yep, we're just trying to get it nice and cold, nice and chilled. And you're gonna. I like to go easy on the ice that's in the cup, but definitely put a little bit of ice in the glass. I don't like to do heavy ice on drinks like this because I don't like it when it gets watered down. Kind of tastes nasty. And then we're just gonna strain our concoction over ice.
God, that looks good.
That looks so good.
I know I'm drooling all over myself.
And if you want to, you can top this thing off with anything. You do a little bit of cinnamon. You could do a little bit of chocolate. You could salt the rim. You could, again, you could just take a little bit of caramel, dab it around the rim, salt the caramel. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with this depending on how fancy you're trying to be.
I'd probably go full bougie caramel salted rim with whipped cream and then just a splash of cinnamon on top, and you got yourself a party.
Hell yeah. Now me on St. Paddy's Day, man, I'm trying to get out the door as early as humanly possible. So this concoction's probably going in a travel mug. I don't need to like fancy it up. But I will tell you, on the surface, you might think that this is going to be a sweet drink. The whiskey does a fantastic job of balancing that out. So it's got sweet notes. This is definitely hits hard. It's a good start to the day. But you like coffee
and you can hardly tell there's alcohol in it, which makes it a perfect drink to carry around all day and to let it sneak up on you.
Hell yes. So yeah, that's our cocktail for the night, boys.
Well, I wish I had the recipe earlier. I would have made myself one, but I didn't. It's fine. We'll talk about that for next time.
So awesome. I love Irish coffee, especially the cold brew aspect is really cool because you can pretty much pour it how you prefer your iced coffee. Some people like a lot of ice because they don't really like the taste of coffee. So they kind of like that dilution process that you get from an old fashioned, where it's kind of part of the deal where it gets a little bit less sharp as you go along, and so you just sip and sip and sip. But for me and Connor, obviously, who actually love the taste of coffee, we just want just enough to chill it down and keep it cold because we're chugging that down.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'll do straight black coffee, baby.
Really,
I mean, I'm spoiled. Jen makes me a latte every day, but that's not here nor there.
Oh, man, you got to get me one of those.
You can batch this bad boy. Just do the math. You can batch it the night before. Have everybody, pour cocktails for everybody, going out the door, whatever it might be. And like Bo was saying, if you don't like coffee a lot, just increase the Carolines. Or if you, decrease the amount of nitro you put in and increase the amount of the Guinness stout that you do.
Yeah.
So
versatile, wonderful, a great breakfast drink. We need more of those in the world.
Yeah, like every drink is a breakfast drink if you believe in yourself.
I don't know, man. Something about breakfast wine just doesn't hit right, but I don't know. All right, so now it's time for a new segment. We want to look back on our last show and our last group of picks. We want to see where we went right. And that's it. We just want to see where we went right. We're going to brag and spin it back. I love that drop. I love it. I love it so
I know I
much.
say this every week, man, but the music we have on this show just, I don't know, just puts me in a good mood.
It's me
It
in a
makes
swanky
me-
vibe, I want to
Yes.
go I want to go outside now and just start a fire.
And just chill.
Oh, see, I'm like, when I'm done, I'm going to go upstairs and watch Swingers with Vince Vaughn. That's how I
That too.
feel. Get a little...
But you can also start a fire. Like just
And
light
watch
something
Swingers at the same time.
or I'm not even talking about fireplace or bonfire. I'm saying just set something on fire. That's what that music makes me want to do.
I get what you. Okay,
I'm
I
getting
gotcha.
some pyromania tendencies are creeping in here.
Hopefully, there are no authorities watching our show.
No, it's all hypothetical, strictly hypothetical.
All right, guys.
A fire Bo just standing in his front yard, everything torched.
It's California. We're always on fire.
I mean, that's a fair point. All right. So let's talk about last week. I think you guys have a couple guys you want to talk about this. You kind of nailed it. Well, I mean, you probably nailed like pretty much all of your picks. I know you guys.
I mean, it's Bo,
except for Bo. Yeah.
I know Connor's not used to doing that, but I mean, we did agree 2 weeks ago on this show. We both were all in on two guys, Daniel Berger and Shane Lowry, the Irishman, who ended up only having like 10% ownership or rostership. And that was our edge, is having the guy who finished second place, Shane Lowry. He very nearly won the tournament, if not for a very late charge. Sepp Straka came in and basically birdied his way in on a really tough stretch of holes that nobody else is birdieing. And that's why he won the tournament over Lowry. And Daniel Berger was the leader of the first 54 holes, looking like he was going to go wire to wire. And he started his Sunday off really bad and couldn't pull it back together in time to get back into contention and finish fourth. So our top two guys are both in the top 5 out of 140 golfers. I think we're pretty good. I'm going to take a victory lap here.
As you should. As you should.
And I think, you and I were in complete agreement on most of, I mean, seriously, there are a lot of guys that we named that landed in the top 20, which is awesome. Even Mark Hubbard, that I was getting holy hell from on the show, getting holy hell about it. Like, he started out really well and ended up, giving you some value with the points, which is kind of what we predicted. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. I will say, if the weather doesn't turn on 18, I think Shane Lowry wins that tournament. Like that.
Oh, for sure. That downpour was insane.
Yeah.
You couldn't have seen that coming. And that was, if anything, it was the momentum, because he had everything going for him. And then it was a complete deluge of water, and Straka missed it. He finished earlier because he was coming from behind. And as soon as he holed out on 18, the rains came and Lowry and Berger got left out to just die on the back nine there, because I mean, we're talking brutal conditions already, and now you're going to take away about 15% of their distance control, and they're not getting any spin back because it's just so much water on the course. It was a nightmare for those guys out there finishing up in that rainstorm. And Sepp Straka's sitting there with the clubhouse lead going, "This is looking mighty fine."
Yeah, I think he was doing a rain dance just to getting it moving. That's what he was doing. You didn't see him on camera a ton. But it was good overall. I mean, overall, I felt like the tournament played out a lot how we thought it would. I definitely made a lot of notes for next year, because I think that that's pretty consistent things to look at with that course.
And that kind of flies in contrast with how I did this last week, where the metrics that I was waiting for my model and my player pool were the wrong metrics for what I should have been looking at for the Bay Hill, for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And it cost me. Like, I didn't have very many quality lineups this last week like I did 2 weeks ago, when I had pretty much every metric nailed down like you did, where Berger and Lowry and those kind of guys really popped, because it's not about picking the right players. It's about picking the right stats to look into and to emphasize. And so if you emphasize the right stat groupings and you put a lot of weight on those and you nail it, that's when your lineups 6 for 6 lineups are going to come in force. And that's really what the ultimate goal is in DFS golf, is to get as many of your golfers to make the cut as possible. And then, of course, have 1 or 2 in contention to win the whole thing, because they're going to be making birdies. They're going to be getting the bonus points for the standings. And you have to be able to nail down the proper metrics to build your player pools.
Yep. No, absolutely. And I mean, and then getting into this week, I mean, again, I didn't have a column this week. We didn't have the show, obviously, but this past week, you know, I was on a lot of the same guys you were, and they just didn't show up. I think looking at the metrics, everything pointed to looking at the correct metrics, I should say, you know, everything pointed to those guys. And yeah, I mean, Rory comes out just storming the place and then shoots back-to-back 74s to finish it
76.
Off.
76. Yeah, 4 over on both weekend rounds after being the first round leader, looking unbeatable with a 65 when everybody's scuffling around. Because Bay Hill was brutally difficult this week. Like, it was the toughest I've ever seen Bay Hill. And basically they grew the rough out and they mowed those greens super tight, because when that Bermuda got crusty in the afternoon, ain't nobody holding greens and nobody was making birdies. You saw the morning crew, the first groups out were the only ones scoring under par. And as it got later in the day, people teeing off in the afternoon were absolutely left out to dry, literally, just like the greens. They had no chance. You saw those later groups. That's why the pack came back to the leader so many times, because it kept shuffling through. It's like, if you're in the lead, you got to tee off later because you're in the final groupings and you're out there with the toughest golf course you've played in 5 years, most likely, for these tour players. That's why Rory was complaining so much, because he was playing the afternoon all 4 rounds.
Well, and he's not wrong, right? And we talk about this a lot on the show, paying attention to what your tee time are, like, you got to remember these guys are going to have to play the inverse conditions on that same course at least once, if not multiple times. And to your point, and you want the guys in contention, but you got to always remember that they are playing a way tougher course than the guys that are going off in the morning typically. So, So yeah,
especially on Bermuda. That's the thing about Bermuda, is it dries out. It gets extremely unruly, where it's bumpy, it's dry, it's crusty, and it's fast. Like, they were basically playing golf, trying to land it on granite countertops and to get it to stop, and it just doesn't happen.
No.
Wait, you guys can't do that?
I can, but I mean, I retired a long time ago from it. Competitive golf days are over.
Yeah,
I didn't feel like playing on the
walk all 18 holes 4 days in a row, and I was like, yeah, man, I don't walk.
No way.
What says you don't get a cart? What the hell?
I'm a professional. I can't have a cart.
My caddy is not going to carry my ice chest full of beer.
Right? Well, you just got to get one of those golf bags with a special cooler compartment on the side. It's all insulated.
like Cervic from Caddyshack. He had the beer tap as one of his club heads.
Exactly. All right, guys, let's get into this week's Players Championship picks.
Players. The club is well. This would be a wrestling class.
Dude, that dude getting chucked into the water will never. So I hadn't seen this drop, and Seth showed it to me earlier today, and I couldn't stop laughing. It was so good. Oh, man. Goldberg. All right, guys. So we've got the Players Championship this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Where is it at, Connor?
Oh, we are at the stadium course at TPC Sawgrass down in Ponte Vedra, Florida. The course is a Pete Dye design. We're about par 72. Depending on where you're getting your yardage numbers, you're somewhere in the neighborhood of 7180 to about 7250, somewhere right in there, depending on how they stretch it out. It's going to be Bermuda again. So we're getting used to that, and hopefully these guys are too, figuring out how to putt and all that happy stuff on it. I will say with this course, I don't particularly think that it favors any sort of archetype of golfer. I think anybody,
the good ones, it favors good golfers.
Yes, it favors good golfers. If there's
hard hitting,
funny how that works.
If there's one thing I will say is you do have to be accurate, and I know that you obviously you want to be accurate in golf, right? But this course really does demand it. And the way Pete Dye designs courses and lays out like his hazards and the sight lines and all of that, he basically toys with your head. And so you need guys that kind of know their way around, are going to hit the shots to a spot and be comfortable with their approaches. Because if you try and get cute here, you're going to be going home early.
Yeah, I want to make this the PGA Tour go to the Wonderlic test so I can figure out which golfers have the most reasoning skills, because the smart golfers that think quickly and on their feet and also are creative are the ones that really do well at Sawgrass, because like you said, Pete Dye is out there just trying to mind fuck the world with this golf course because it's not that long. Par 72, you're thinking on the PGA Tour that's going to be stretched out 74 to 7,600 yards. This sucker is only 7,200, maybe even less, because they do use alternate tee boxes each day. So you're going to have a range of yardages, but it's going to be around 7,200 yards for a par 72. That's pretty short, and it's going to be forced landing areas. Like driver on some holes is going to be the only thing anybody will hit, and on other holes it will be no drivers ever. And it might be a 480-yard par 4 where you're thinking, oh, man, I need to mash it down there. It's like, oh, no, if you carry it more than 281, it's going in the water. And so it forces them to hit a 3-wood or a 2-iron off the tee. And then their approach shot on a par 4 is almost 250 yards. So he really does force a full bag of clubs from these pros, which is hard to say with any golf course because these guys are all just bombing it down there over 300 yards and they're hitting shorter clubs. But on this course, he doesn't even let you do that. There's no way for a bomber that doesn't have a good set of other skills to just completely take this course and take advantage of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the forced landing spot thing, I mean, you're 100% right. And there are guys that are playing in this tournament. I mean, Bryson DeChambeau is one of them where I don't see where the length is going to be much of a benefit. I mean, I think you're going to put yourself into worse shape than just laying up to the spot you're supposed to, being confident in your second shot. Like I said, if you try and get cute on this course, it's not going to work out well for you.
Or if you're just simply too aggressive. We've seen really talented golfers like Phil Mickelson struggle here just because his mindset is 100% go, 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 always attack the pin. Well, that's what Pete Dye wants them to do. He wants you to go and attack the pin, and it's going to take that perfect shot that you had pictured for you to be successful. Because if you miss your mark by a foot, it's rolling off into a trap or into the water. And this course is going to force some aggression, especially on Sunday. So I think your guys that are in good spots going into Sunday are going to be the guys that have played it conservatively, but then when they really have to put the stamp down and get aggressive on Sunday with those tucked pins that we know we're going to get some really nasty pin placements on Sunday. We're going to see a lot of water balls, even from the most accurate players. So, like you said, there's a lot of metrics we're going to look at today. I've narrowed it down to 2 metrics that I'm looking at this week. So go ahead with yours.
Well, yeah, no, and I'll get to that. But one thing I did want to bring up is the weather is going to play a factor this week. And one way or another, it's definitely going to be an issue. So really looking at your tee time splits and trying to catch the better part of the day where you can, especially if you're playing showdowns, huge advantage to monitoring the tee time splits and the weather. Right now, it looks like it's going to rain Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday is going to be brutal. It's like a 96% chance of a thunderstorm with 22-mile-an-hour winds.
Good luck.
Saturday is going to be a real walk in the park. But yeah, it's gonna rain for sure. I mean, every single day that I'm looking at in the forecast is at least a 90% chance of weather. So we're getting some weather here. So that being said, that really compounds some of the problems with the landing spots and adjusting for distance or lack thereof. And I think it's going to be a really tricky tournament. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring tournament or low scoring tournament. I always flip flop that. But to Bo's point, like the big things that I'm really looking at are all basically shots gained. Tee to green is the main one. And then accuracy, varying degrees of accuracy. I've baked in a bunch of different stats. I won't bore you to death with them. They're really microscopic, like pinpointing type stuff. But if you got to pick two things to look at, I would be looking at tee to green, and I would be looking again at accuracy metrics, because those are going to be the most important things this week.
So we've mentioned this one stat. I agree with the strokes gained tee to green. You cannot attack this course from the rough off the tee. So you want the strokes gained tee to green. That's going to identify your best ball strikers. We're going to go into a couple of golfers that fit that mold, and then overlay that with bogey avoidance. Bogey avoidance for me reflects exactly what kind of player a guy is. If he's a guy who puts together a lot of pars and he doesn't really go and make a ton of birdies, but he's also not putting big numbers on his scorecard, that's the guy I want this week, because the reason Tiger Woods did so well here is because the dude is a par machine, and then he was just crazy good at par fives. And so if you could make a 4 and make a 3 on the shorter holes and then go after those par fives and score birdies and eagles on all of them, that's how you win at Sawgrass, is you take advantage of those par 5 scoring opportunities, because they're all pretty good birdie chances, even if not eagle chances here. And then those par 5s or par 4s and par 3s that are going to eat everyone alive. If you can make pars on those and avoid double bogeys, that's going to be the guy I want to have in my roster that's going to make the cut. Just shooting 72 to 74 the first couple of days. It sounds like you're going to make the cut, just hovering around par, just a tad over par.
And to go with bogey avoidance, I also did look at par 5 scoring. I think you've got to score on the par 5s this week. The par 4s and the par 3s are treacherous, and specifically most of the back 9 is pretty rough. So when you've got opportunity to score on the par 5s, and especially with hole 16, it's really your last scoring opportunity, true scoring opportunity on the back 9. 17, tons of pressure, tons of drama there always. 18 is historically one of the toughest.
It's a nasty hole.
So yeah, your par 5s, especially 16, that's going to be last ditch effort to get a score in the bag. So if you want to look at those things, I do. Bogey avoidance is in my model, as well as par 5 efficiency. So I would definitely look at those things too.
So Nate, what do you say we throw out some golfers, since we've kept everybody on suspense?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's throw out some golfers. Who do we got? Who do you guys like this week, and why is it probably Royal McIlroy, Connor?
I don't know. Connor got burned by Rory last week. So did I. So we're gonna see, maybe cool the Jets a bit.
I feel like he's coming back for more.
No, I'm definitely gonna play Rory, but I'm
see, I told you, Bo.
But I'll say this: there are golfers I like a lot better. Specifically, the big one that I'm looking at is Collin Morikawa, and right up.
Thank you. That's the one. Complete agree, 100%. You're gonna get tonight, Connor. All the rest of your golfers suck. If you don't, say something nice about the California Golden Bear, Collin Morikawa.
I can't say anything bad about him. I mean, he's just proving that he's in a class of his own, and if you look at the people that are priced around him, like the rest of them, if I had to pick one of these top 5-6 guys, Collin Morikawa is probably the one I feel the most confident in to actually go out and win this tournament.
I picked him because his name has 2 L's.
Yeah,
he's twice as lovely. But no,
exactly.
In seriousness, if there is anything about Collin Morikawa that does worry me, it's a little bit of putting, and it's a little bit of around the green that hasn't been super sharp. He's still better than most at both things, but
you know why?
These greens
because
are rough.
He's really damn good at getting close to the pin.
Well, yeah, damn straight. And when you look at the stats, they prove that. But again, he's just at 10-7. That's a hell of a jumping off spot, and it gives you plenty of room to get pretty much not dip below the 7,000 limit if you want to start your lineups with Morikawa. So I really like him. I really like him from that standpoint. I can definitely let you drone on about how much you love him if you want.
I mean, if he's in the tournament and it's a course that's not like 7,700 yards, I'm looking at Collin Morikawa going, this guy is going to be in the top 10. He's a lock. The dude is a top 5 ball striker on the PGA Tour. and he's the best iron player. Like, there's nobody better with an iron in his hand than Colin Morikawa. He's just plain and simple. The dude flushes every single shot. He has great shot shape. He can move it right and left, which you're going to need on this course, especially right to left. It's going to be such a nice time for a golfer like him, because he's kind of middle of the pack in driving distance, but the dude's always in play, and he's always in position to stick an iron close. And when his putter's hot, he's unbeatable. And that's what we kind of seen is he's a streaky putter. Is he'll go completely lights out, unconscious, and make everything, and he'll win that tournament. And then if he's not making putts, he'll be somewhere in the top 25, but probably not in contention to take the trophy.
And the other thing that's, like I said at the top here, I mean, you got Justin Thomas, you got Rory McIlroy, you got Jon Rahm, and I love all those golfers, but the only one that I would even consider maybe playing outside of Morikawa is Jon Rahm. And to be honest, even statistically, and even being the number one golfer in the world and all that stuff, like the eye test with him lately, like it just doesn't seem right. Like he's just not closing. His putter looks horrible. Like just doesn't seem focused. And
he missed a tap in last week. I mean, that tells you that's all mental. That's him going through the motions because it's not going well for him. And he's been known to do that on occasion. He did it way more often when he was a younger player before he got married and had a couple kids. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's as fiery and unpredictable as anyone, but he's really hasn't been that guy until recently, where you start to see him have one or two bad holes and he just shuts it down. And he goes through the motions, and you don't want to roster him when he's going through that. And on a course like this, with the weather being bad, I'm not sure. But all I know is that Colin Morikawa is as stoic as they come. The dude's just fun-loving, good guy. Looks like he's out there playing for fun, even though he's playing for millions and millions of dollars. The dude just has ice water in his veins, and I love him as a golfer. I love that he played his college golf in Northern California. I love all of the things about Colin Morikawa for this particular tournament.
Yep.
So you guys would clearly marry Colin Morikawa should the option come up. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to slide in the DMs tonight for
do it. Let us know how it goes, please.
Bo's going to have a couple Irish coffees and start blowing up Morikawa.
Colin, I need you. Okay, all right. So who else do you guys love? Do you love anybody as much as you love Colin Morikawa?
No, I mean, the rest of Connor's
obviously me, but
I'm going to wait for Connor to put one on a tee for me here. Connor, go ahead and put your next guy up on the block here.
I don't think you're going to hate this one either. At least I don't know why you would. Getting just sub 10K, so getting into the nines a little bit. Patrick Cantley is somebody that I want to be in on this week as well. Again, going with consistency, accuracy, being cool as a cucumber. Patrick Cantley is all those things. And I mean, he wins a lot more than I think people realize. I mean, I think it's because he doesn't seem to have much of a personality that people just like, he doesn't stand out, right?
He actually doesn't at all. It's a zero personality. So he's like an amoeba. He just assumes whatever personality touches him. Somebody walks by and brushes his shoulder, he assumes their personality.
Well, Kelly gave me hell about entertainment value last show, right? But and that's a good observation. But with Cantley, I think that the fact that he's not entertaining actually gives an edge in DFS because he's just not a sexy play. Nobody wants to play the guy because he plays horrifically slow, and two, like it's just hard to cheer for a guy that has no personality, right? So he's just not a sexy.
Well, yeah, he's the embodiment of drive for show, putt for dough, where the dude's just a lights out putter and short game. But it's like from tee to green, you fall asleep on him because it's like, all right, 285 in the middle of the fairway, iron to the middle of the green, and I'm going to make about half my putts. Yeah. And it's like the dude is so solid and consistent. He's a snooze. Like he's your Sunday afternoon nap instead of watching the finish of the golf tournament. He's like dozing off watching Patrick Cantley, but the dude's a solid play. Who I like more, and I'm shocked to see this, but the defending champion of this particular tournament, who's also one of the best cerebral ball strikers in the game, and he's priced below our golden boy Morikawa, is Justin Thomas. We're talking about one of the best just heady, smart players. The dude lives, breathes, and eats golf. He's from the South. He's played Sawgrass a gazillion times. And that's why he won last year. He just looked completely dominant last year because he was comfortable just taking each shot one at a time. And like, okay, I need to put it here. Okay, I need to put it here. And when you got a guy like that that's that good at golf that can think his way around the course, Justin Thomas is, I'm going to say he's a very big threat to go back-to-back this year.
So I would normally, I am a Justin Thomas fan, and like, I think I everything you just said, I 90% of the time agree with. What I will tell you is concerning, especially on this course with him, is his drives have been a little all over the map, and this is not like a get right spot if you're having some issue with your woods. I mean, it's just not. So,
Yeah, you mean the driver that got him a top 10 at the Waste Management and at the Genesis? That guy?
Yeah, but those are two different courses. I mean, we're not talking about the same layouts here at all. I mean, this is a completely different venue.
I'm just saying recent form seems to be pretty good.
Recency bias, Bo. You know.
Well, he's telling me that his recent form lends to concern, and I'm looking at his recent form going, he hasn't been outside of the top 20 since last July.
No, that's what I said. 90%
in
of the
any tournament.
I like. Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. I'll have shares of Justin Thomas for sure because he's live to be, to win this tournament running away. I just said that when one of the things we're looking for is good drives games specifically, he's in the lower half of the field, at least over the last 36 rounds. And that's concerning. Like, it's not the end all decider, but I'm just throwing it out there that is concerning to me. And at 10-4, I'd rather just pay up for Morikawa, or I'd rather even pay down and start my lineups at Cantley.
Yeah, agree to disagree there. I have Morikawa and Thomas locked in. I have one single golfer over 9,000 that I'm going to be rostering besides those two. Any guess as to who it'll be?
Xander Schauffele?
No, but he's close. He's a borderline for me. He'll get some sprinkles this week. But Cameron Smith, the Aussie. Mullet Man's out there just making all kinds of shots. The dude is so much fun to watch. He's the anti-Patrick Cantley. He's coming in at 9,400 this week. You cannot take your eyes off Cameron Smith. He plays an exciting brand of golf, great all-around player, and another really smart player. Like I said, I want the Wonderlic guys for the PGA Tour this week because you do have to use your brain. You have to be mentally strong to win a tournament at Sawgrass.
No, I love the Cam Smith call too, and he's in my pool as well. And then right below him, I've got a lot of Scotty Scheffler shares so far in building too.
The chalk is going to be heavy this week, though, man.
But I think historically, the cream rises to the top here, and Scheffler is arguably one of the hottest players on the planet right now.
Dude, his putter yesterday was on fire. We're talking about some of the most difficult putts a professional golfer will ever face, pressure-wise, speed. The break was so severe there, and he was sticking lag putts within inches when every other person was getting the same putt, and they weren't even able to two putt from where they were. And he was just like, "Oh, I'm going to tap in my par." And then he had a 15-foot par putt on 16, and you're like, "Oh shoot, this is really going to make or break him," right in the heart. Like the dude is nails on the green. You cannot hate a guy who putts like Scotty Scheffler. And as much chalk as he's going to get, he probably deserves it, like you said.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to be out on him, not right now at least. Over the last 36, I mean, he's actually outpacing the top five guys in this salary, top five guys for salary by a lot. And we're talking about the accuracy metrics, par five scoring. I mean, bogey avoidance. He's checking all of those boxes. And that's.
Did you see how far they priced Mark Leishman down? What did he piss in their Cheerios or something? Last time I checked, the dude's 10 for 10 on made cuts and has 3 top 10s on the season. And he's averaging 86.5 fantasy points per game, which is the most of any player that's below 8,500 this week. And he's at 7,500.
All right. Yeah, you're right. I should probably go back and look at Leishman.
And he was a heavy favorite for me last week because Bay Hill and Sawgrass are really closely related as far as thinking your way around the course. And Bermuda, just like unpredictable sloping greens. And just, I mean, Bay Hill's a little bit more of a bomber's course, but that rough's going to be thick at Sawgrass too. And you have to be able to find fairways. Mark Leishman was finding fairways. He just couldn't make putts.
No, and I don't know. Leishman's a guy I can't get right, man. Ever. I swear, if I roster him, he'll shoot plus 20. I like guarantee. So maybe I'll stay off of him if you're gonna play him. That way you don't get screwed. Couple of guys in the lower 8K, and then we can kind of get into some of the more budget plays. But a couple of guys down there. Loving Billy Horschel right now. He's trending super hot. I feel like he's on the verge. Like he keeps knocking at the door. He keeps hanging around. One of these weeks, I think he's gonna take down another victory. But
his short game's too good not to. And what's really stunk for him is that front nine on Sunday killed him, and he still clawed his way back and only lost by one shot. So the dude he's tough as nails, resilient. Because if you're leading on Sunday and you fall apart like he did and like Berger did the week before, a lot of times they'll just give up and they're happy with their top 10 finish. Like both of these guys the last 2 weeks that blew their lead going into Sunday, they fought back and nearly pulled it out in the end because they just kept going. And those are the kind of guys like Horschel, those guys that just play cerebral golf. I mean, I'm going to say it too many times tonight, but I want those guys that they have a bad hole and it's just amnesia. They're like moving on, next shot, and it's not hole by hole, one hole at a time. At Sawgrass, it's going to be one shot at a time.
Well, and Horschel's a Florida guy, so I mean, like this is the time of year, and I'd have to go back and look. So I'm making kind of a broad statement here, but I feel like Horschel does this pretty frequently every year during this Florida swing. So, I mean, this is somewhere where he's comfortable. $8,100. I think you can do a lot worse. And then on either side of him, I really like Sung Jae again this week. Sung Jae is surprisingly number one in the field for bogey avoidance. So I like that. He's right up in the top 10 in most of the accuracy metrics like that.
He's not doing that at Bermuda, though. I'm finding that Sung Jae is not a good Florida golfer.
It's weird, though. This is over the last, this is the last what I do for bogey avoidance, last 20 rounds. So, I mean, there's plenty of Florida in there.
But he's kind of getting saved by his West Coast golf because he's just dominant on the West Coast. It suits his style better. I'm seeing more 50 place performances, especially recently in Florida, that I care to see. And he sprinkled a win in there last year. So I mean, you can't discount him too much. I just think he's a little overpriced this week for what he's been doing recently. I'm really kind of afraid to play Sung Jae where his price isn't really tumbling down like you saw with $8,100 Horschel after what he's been playing like. I think I'd rather keep spending down on these other guys so I can get more of those studs at the very top. Just because you said cream rises to the top.
Yeah, I think with Sung Jae, though, he's only played this course once. He was a T17. That was last year. So I think he can play this course. And I think there's a perception similar to what you just laid out with Sung Jae. And I think that's going to keep people off of him. And I think Billy Horschel is going to be way chalkier than Sung Jae. So just as a pivot option, you got Sung Jae right there. And then the other guy in the eights, going back up a little bit, and then I'm done with my eights, is I'm going to throw a couple of darts on Brooks Koepka this week.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay. I think he's going to be at $8,600. You're not going to get a lot of chances to get Brooks Koepka at that cost. He's going to be low owned.
What's his average finish here, though?
I just had that up. Hang on, I can tell you.
Yeah,
probably not great.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm off him.
I think I just like I don't know. Brooks, man, shows up to these big game. He's a big game hunter, man. He shows up for these.
He is, but most of those big games that he's taken down have been on those bomb and gouge type courses where his game is really fitted there. Brooks is plenty talented, but he's just not the kind of guy I want this week.
T56, T11, T16, T35. So at 8,600, yeah, that you get your money back if he even if he finishes T56. So I don't know. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I kind of hate it. I'd rather spend $200 extra and go with Daniel Berger because I know that he dominates on these types of courses. I'm going right back to the well of Daniel Berger. The dude's just good. His short game's amazing, and he can't putt worth a lick, but approach and around the green, the dude's as good as there is and on tour. I can't get off Daniel Berger on this type of course.
No, that's fair enough. Do a couple in the 7s, maybe a couple in the 6s, and let everybody be on their way.
Yeah.
Oh, but they're having so much fun. You guys.
I mean, Bo and I are a lot of fun. Nate, you're a lot of fun too. You just keep us in line.
When you're here, you're a lot of fun.
Now look. I do my best, okay? I can't do everything for everyone.
I would too.
Just happy to see you, Nate.
Man, I haven't been to Mexico since December. I'm really sad.
Thanks
for reminding me, Bo. Anyway, talk about your $7,000 players. I'm just gonna sulk over here.
Yeah, just don't start crying on us, okay, Nate? So I like Webb Simpson. I know that's going to be probably relatively low owned. We're looking at about 8% right now. He fits the course well. He's done well on this course. He's really only played once this year, so we don't have a whole lot to go on. But Webb shows up to this tournament, plays well every year. Like I said, he's the right type of player for this tournament. So I do like Webb Simpson at 7,600, and I'd love a low owned Webb Simpson as well. I mean, less than 10%. I'll take that.
Yep, the web less traveled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I already mentioned Leishman. He's on my board as a priority pick, and Max Homa. I mean, friend of the show, Max Homa. We're gonna have him on the show this year. I'm gonna come hell or high water. Yeah, come hell or high water, we're gonna have Max Homa on the show. I've added him multiple times now to join us. Every few days, I'll get a wild hair and I'll do it again. But Max
didn't respond. He's normally really on top of his social media.
That's the thing, is he might be like Matthew Berry and just have me muted for his benefit.
He's like, it was a restraining order or muting, and the restraining order was going to take more time.
It's pretty much the same thing on Twitter.
Yeah, right.
But Max Homa on the Florida swing so far. Genesis Invitational finished 10th, and last week at the Arnold Palmer 17th. He's a Florida good guy. I mean, the guy just plays well here. And he's the target golfer that we're looking for. And him and Leishman stand out to me. And then how solid has Gary Woodland been? Like
we got on him our first show of the year. I think we called out Gary.
We're talking about back-to-back top fives in Florida this year. Fifth at the Honda, fifth at the Arnold Palmer last week. I think it's safe to say that Gary Woodland likes playing golf in Florida. And he's good at it. And if he's playing well in Florida, Sawgrass isn't going to be overly challenging for him. Bay Hill's a much tougher course than Sawgrass. Weather permitting, of course. The weather might change everything. But Gary Woodland is such a good golfer, and 7,400 is insane to me.
So just real quick, guys, to go back, I finally found it. Koepka, his average finish the players is 28th. He has 2 top 20 finishes all time in the tournament, but his average is 28th.
Oh, Koepka?
I'll pass.
Yeah. Sorry it took me so long to find it. It kept going finish to never. It's a long story, but I got it. It took me a minute,
on Koepka,
but I got
it.
Pass
on him. No, yeah. And no, thanks for finding that. Since it got brought back up, I mean, I'm not saying all in on Koepka. I'm just saying as throw a dart, and I definitely let in with that's a more of a dart.
Sure.
$8,600 dart.
I just wanted to get the information to the people. That's all I'm doing. I'm like Tony Reale on Around the Horn, basically.
You are.
What did we get wrong?
But I'm prettier.
You're much more handsome than Reale.
No, I love the Gary Woodland call. Like I said, you and I have been kind of on Gary's bandwagon since we started the show back up this year. So I'd love to see Gary do something.
He's on the verge too. You were saying how you were saying the other guy's on the verge. Gary Woodland, back-to-back top fives, is as on the verge as it freaking gets, dude. Dude needs a win.
I'm gonna keep riding my boy Cam Young. I'm definitely gonna have some of him. I mean, the guy, like, you just can't.
Some of these prices are really low. It's kind of weird.
When I like Taylor Gooch right there with Cam Young too. Like his results have been decent. He's been scoring okay. Like that $7,200 range. Luke List has been playing well.
Oof.
These are not guys like that I would typically like get excited to play, but like they've been producing some results.
I'm ecstatic to play this group of guys in the low sevens. It's like I don't have to. You mean if I play 3 of those guys out of my 6, I don't have to play anybody under 7, and I can get 2 guys over 10-5. I mean, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Is I'm looking to cluster a couple of these guys and a couple of the studs and call it good, and just have some variables there. All those guys you listed, including Luke List, Taylor Gooch I love Taylor Gooch. That guy's a fantastic golfer, and he's been playing really well lately. He had one blow up round that cost him at the Honda, but other than that, everybody wants to complain about getting gooched a few weeks ago. Well, it happens to the best of us. The dude throws out an 81 on the PGA Tour, and you're gonna have some bettors that are pretty angry with him. But he clapped back at those guys, and he's been playing great ever since.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think for DFS purposes, the tournaments are getting won by the $7,200 range this week for sure. Like that, those guys are gonna.
One of those guys is gonna take it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Getting down into the 6s, there's actually surprisingly a lot of big names right in the high 6s. Bubba Watson's a guy that I don't typically play a lot of, but Bubba does well on die tracks, so I'll have some Bubba shares. Brian Harmon.
Yep. You said it.
Right there.
Harmon at 69. Nice.
Oh man.
And then
I can't believe you didn't laugh more at Gooch, Bo.
We got gooched. I mean, I already took that 3 weeks ago.
I like Mito down there at 6,700 too. I don't know how Mito is at 6,700. I think he's a better golfer than that.
Well, they've suppressed a lot of people's prices this week. Sebastian Munoz is one of my favorite targets this week at 6,700. The dude's playing lights out for somebody who's not very well known out of Colombia. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive top 30 finishes, with 2 of those being in Florida, the last 2 tournaments that he's played. I like Sebastian Munoz a lot.
Yeah, I'm in on him too this week. And then, Aaron Wise, there's a fall from grace. Everybody was lining up to play him 2 weeks ago. Now he's at $6,600. Now, rightfully so, but I do know a few things about Aaron Wise, and Aaron Wise plays all right down this part of the world usually. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him bounce back.
He's a boring par maker. That's why.
I mean, shit, man, that might be all you need.
Isn't that what I covered it earlier? The guy who makes a lot of pars at Sawgrass and then attacks the par 5s is going to be the guy that wins. That's the blueprint that Tiger came up with all those years ago. Is that you just make pars on everything, but if you get to a par 5, you better make birdie or better.
I always do, so I don't know why it's so hard for them to do it.
I know it can't be as good as you though.
Just as an actual bit of a dart throw, down to 6,200, I like Taylor Pendrith. And this is
Canada.
I don't like Taylor Pendrith for any other reason than DraftKings scoring wise, he does decent. And
that's all we're looking for.
And he's making.
Isn't that how you win? Isn't that how you win with more points?
Making cuts. Yeah. So at that price point, if we can get him through the damn cut, he'll put some points on the board for us. It may not be the prettiest thing. There may be some bogeys involved, but we can get some points out of him, and he's kind of been doing that right along. So that's probably my deepest one.
How, and I can't emphasize this enough, in the hell is KH Lee 6,300 here?
I don't know, because it's KH Lee.
We're talking about a guy who hasn't missed a cut this season. And he is 6,300. He was no less than 7,000 or 6,900 was his lowest price previous to this season. Nice. And just last week, he made the cut, looked pretty decent, had a 77 in the final round that dropped him down quite a ways. But KH Lee down there at that price, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, and joking aside about KH Lee, I play him pretty frequently. the thing that worries me about him on this course is he's not a great iron approach guy. Like, he's not bad, he's serviceable, but he's not great in that regard. And generally speaking, he's not a very good putter. I mean, like the best that he's done over the course of the last year in strokes gained on putting is he had one spike week where he gained 5 strokes putting. It's also his best finish of the year, so far this year, 26th place at the Genesis. And wouldn't you know it, he screwed himself because he lost 4 strokes on approach. So it's just kind of like, I want KH Lee to do well, and I think he'll find his stride, but I just don't know if it's this week.
Well, at 6,300, I just need him to make the damn cut.
And I think
he's 10 for 11 over the full season. So
shit, and even going back farther than that, the guy's only missed like 2 cuts in the last like calendar year.
Yeah, he's your perpetual tied for 42nd. He will never sniff a leaderboard, but by golly, he's going to make the cut on the number, and then he's going to hold water until he collects his check for whatever a quarter of the winner's check is.
They don't even make him play anymore. That's why you don't see him on TV. He just shows up and they put him up on the board at 42, and they're like, "You can go home."
Yeah. Tied for 42nd, KH again. Here's your check for $56,000. We'll see you next week.
Perfect. All right, guys. We've hit about an hour.
Yes,
you guys
sir.
have give some sage advice. We had a drink. I've had a beer, which has been delicious because we're talking
Gatorade.
golf. Oh, look at Bo over here. There's got to be some vodka in that Gatorade, right?
I'll never tell.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we hope that we helped you get out there, set some good lineups, win some money. For my homie Conor Coughlin at CoughDFS on Twitter. For my boy Bo McBrayer at Bo_McBigtime on the Tweeterbirds. We hope that you go out, win some money, have a great Monday, have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Cheers, everybody.